All right, we've been doing the hourly. We've almost got it done. We got this error because we have not yet implemented the earnings, which we'll do in just a second. We added, these are the two class variables. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to say here, hourly class variables. All right, as opposed to, all the other ones. So our no-arg constructor, we first called super to handle first name, last name, and social security number, and then we handled, in here, we handled the other two fields. And in our no-arg, we called super, and we passed it the first three fields, first name, last name, and social security number, and we are handling hours worked and hourly rate. After we did that, we added our getters and setters, and we updated both of these because they're doing range checks, okay? Now, one nice thing, you might say to yourself, okay, what aren't we doing here? We're not checking for non-numeric. Would you agree with that? But guess what? We check for non-numeric in the driver because we have to pass it in as non-numeric. See what I'm saying? So you're pushing, what we're doing, for lack of better words, is we're pushing that responsibility off. And we're making, these could be used, all right? I mean, in all, not just for payroll. If I was a programmer, let's say that I was a programmer and I was a contracted programmer and I'd created something like this for company X. Company Y could have similar employees or different employees, and I could just modify this one and use that one. That's one of the reasons that you create classes like this. So, I mean, a better example would be, let's say that Enterprise was back. And they asked me to, they would never ask me, but they asked me to do their whole reservation system. Let's just say they wanted to redo it. Okay, I get done, it works, and somebody working at Rent-A-Car or Enterprise has got a friend who works at Holiday Inn, and they go, our reservation system is screwed up, and it's not that different than yours. I could go and grab what's alike and use that and change what I needed to change. That's why you do this stuff the way we're doing it. All right, okay. So, like I said, we got two things to do yet. I'm going to hit enter a few times just because I want to move these up, and hopefully I'll remember to get rid of all those in a minute. So first we're going to do public string to string. All right. And I'm going to have this string. I'm just going to call it output str. I'm going to set it equal to nothing at first. And then I'm just going to keep doing the plus equal on it. So plus equal \n hourly payroll object. You don't have to do this, but in my humble opinion, what that's doing is when we first print this out, and notice we're going to end up doing at the end, we will end up doing a J option pane, but this way we'll have a little title at the beginning that'll tell us what kind of object it is. There is software that you can get that, for example, if I wanted to create this and make it look like, instead I wanted to make it look like some kind of a report, we could do that. And it really wouldn't be that much effort to do that. So if somebody had a report setup, we would probably have the software, we could just drop the fields in, for lack of better words. All right, so output str plus equal. First thing we're going to put in here is the employee name. We're doing this one a little bit different, which is totally fine. And guess how we're going to do that? Plus get first name plus a blank space plus get last name. Now, I just want to make sure, wrap your head around this, that we are in one class and we're calling a method from another class. The get first name and the get last name are in the employee class. We can call them because this inherited from it, and we made it public. Long story short, if somebody were to say to me, give me a one-sentence definition of object-oriented programming, one sentence a definition, all right, I'd say almost always you are using public methods to manipulate private data. That's it in a nutshell. Now, what you're going to learn when we go on in here is there's also something in here that's called protected. If for some reason we had to set it up so that, let's say, hourly had to be able to change the social security number for some reason, we could have made that field protected. That would have meant that not only can it be changed by the parent, but any child can change it. But since we came in here an employee, and I purposely, you may or may not have noticed this, these are all private. So they cannot be changed. Those cannot be changed in here. If I try to do that, I'm going to get an error. So I can use the get methods, but notice if I come in here and I say first name equals Jeff, it doesn't even recognize it because it's private. It is unknown. As far as Java is concerned, this class or this method that we're using in here, it doesn't belong to the class. It doesn't even know what the heck it is. All right, so there's the name. Boy. Plus. And earnings. Oh, this is interesting. I don't know where I defined earnings. Oh, I know. Hopefully this is going to work, but we'll find out. Did I miss anything here? Just double checking. We'll know real fast if I've got an error here. Plus equals. And all right. Now, we're not done yet, but you see where I've got earnings? See that? All right. It's still giving me the error because I haven't implemented that method yet. We're going to implement it now. That's the only thing that's left. All right. Other than, well, now we've got this nice output string. We should return it. All right. We set up here. Remember, toString always has to return a string. That's the idea behind it, in this language at least. All right. So now we've got to write our earnings method. Now, I'm going to write this, but I'm going to add something when we get all done. Public double earnings. Earnings. Okay. If get hours worked is less than or equal to max non-OT, return get hours worked times get hourly rate. Else return max non-T times get hourly rate. Why doesn't it recognize that? We implemented iEmployee, so max non-OT. Isn't that what I called it back here? Max. Oh, see this? That's a neat error. Look at this. It doesn't recognize in here max non-OT. Oh, what the hell? Pardon my French. So I went back here and I wrote max non-TOT. All right. If you did that, get rid of that T. Sorry. All right. And then come back here and boom, the error is gone. And I also wrote it there. Okay, there we go. Okay, times get hourly rate, 1 paren, plus, we're not done here yet, so get hours worked minus max non-OT times oops, sorry. Oh my gosh. Get hourly rate times, we'll get times the overtime rate. All right. I am a little anal here, so I'm going to move that over. Okay. And that's it. Now notice, since we're returning this, look on the screen. If I go back up to the top, look what's not there anymore. That error. See that? All right, so we're going to have that error in all of these. I'm just telling you. Now, the other thing I want you to get out of this, look on the screen here and look at this whole thing. The actual methods, get hours worked, etc., those are grabbing information that's already been calculated. Would you agree with that? Okay. It would be possible to have somebody, just tons of people working on this program. Let's say it's for Amazon, and they've got 50,000 types of employees or whatever. You could have different people working on all this stuff. All right. What you see, what you get back, the actual salary or earnings, that's what's called the that's what's called the interface. Just like, if I come up here and I show you this, that's the interface. I don't have any idea when I do this, if I do 99 and I hit this key right there, I don't have any idea how internally it does that. All right, I don't know about you, maybe you do. That's the implementation. So what you are able to do also with object-oriented programming is you can set it up that the user just has to know how to use the interface and doesn't have to know how to do the implementation. So if later, I mean, we're writing all of it, but imagine this was being written by a bunch of different people. If somebody rewrites this, the get hours work, they figure out a new way to do it that's faster, as long as it looks the same when I call it, I don't care. All right. And it might not sound like a big thing. That's another reason for using object-oriented programming. You are definitely separating the interface from the implementation. All right. To my knowledge, we have no errors in here now, to my knowledge. So I'm going to do a file, save all, because I haven't done that for a while, and I'm going to close my hourly. All right. And we're going to go on to the next one, which is commission. So again, I'm going to right mouse click on my com.example, new Java class. We're just going to call it what it is, commission. And we've got this. Just like we just did a second ago, this will extends employee and implements employee. And I've got the same exact error I had before, saying it doesn't have earnings. Okay. Now, for commission, there's two things they have. How much did they sell, and what's their commission rate? All right, so that's what we have to add here. So these will be commission worker class variables. So private double sales, private double rate. Now on mine, you may or may not be able to tell, I literally put comments all over the place here. And you'd probably want to do that, but I'm more concerned. See, last year what I did was I spent the first 2 full weeks of the class with the class on Java. The program you're doing now, all right, we spent several days on it because we did it unbelievably slow. All right, and I don't know if you guys are that much brighter, they were that much dimmer, or what, I don't really know. But we're doing it much faster here. And in the end, it's going to be a good thing because we'll have time for the stuff in Android I had to skip with them. All right. So, all right. So just like you've seen before, start with our no-arg constructor. Same kind of thing, called a super. Now be careful here because there's two different rates. There's the default rate, which is the rate for hourly people. Did you hear me? And there's the C rate. I probably could have come up with better names, but it's just the ones I used. All right. So all I'm telling you is if you put def rate right there, which I think is $25, and I think that the other one, the actual one here is, I don't know what it is, but it's like $1,000. That's a pretty big difference. They'd probably let you know. All right, and then we've got our full arg constructor. And again, what is each person going to have? A string for the first name, a string for the last name, a string, string for the last name, a string for the social security number. Now they'll have a double for the sales and a double for the rate. I'll just call it R. I can call it rate. I mean, again, it doesn't matter if I do that. Now we're going to call super, and now we're going to pass in the first name, the last name, and the social security number, just like we did before. So you start to see there's a lot of similarity, and hopefully, you know, the more things that you can push up into your abstract class, the better you're going to be, because it's going to result in the less code you have to write. Does that make sense? All right. But we'll still have to hear, we'll call set sales. This is going to give us an error because we haven't written it yet. With sales, and set rate, which is we're going to pass in the rate. You can probably already guess what we're going to do next. All right, we're going to come over to code, generate, getter and setter, and we want both of them again. Click OK. Now those have been fixed. All right, and we just want to go in and do the same kind of thing we've been doing before. So if sales is greater than or equal to min sales, and sales is less than or equal to max sales, we know then that, not salary, see, that's what I did. Sales, if that's the case, what do we know? Well, we know, all right, we know that what we put in there was valid. All right, so I'm going to do it on two lines, but I'm going to do a question mark here, and I'll say S, A-L-E-S, sales. All right, and I'm going to go down to the next line. You don't have to do this, but I'm just doing it so you can see I don't run out of room. Colon, def sales, parenthesis. Now, it's important, though, and I know I keep saying the same stuff, but you have to understand what's going on here. This is saying if we put in a valid sales figure, so if it's between our minimum and our maximum, accept it. Otherwise, give it the default. So why would it be out of range? There's a really good chance when you do this, just so you know, when you do this, rather than writing a driver like we're writing, you're going to be, this information is going to be either being pulled out of a database, or it's going to be being, some data entry person already put it in there. Does that make sense to you? So you typically won't have to worry about this, but again, if something gets screwed up, whose ass do you think is on the line? The answer is yours. All right, they don't care, because I've seen this happen before, where people turn around and go, well, it wasn't my fault, and they can prove it wasn't their fault. Guess what? Management doesn't care. They just don't. All right, so there's that one. So I've changed both of them. If you have, did you change that one already? Okay. So again, you probably already guessed, we've got to rewrite toString and then our earnings. That's it. And then we will go on and do the last two. So I'm going to move this again just up a little bit. There we go. So my next one will be overwriting toString. Okay. Now, what I'm about to show you right here, this is up to you, but if you look up on the screen here for a second, this isn't cheating because it's my code. But I'm going to jump back into the hourly employee right here. And I'm going to grab all of this stuff and then just make changes on it. You don't have to do that, but I'm going to do that. To me, it makes sense to do that. So it's going to give me some errors here. This should make sense if you look on the screen. Those errors should make sense to you because we don't have access to those. But now instead of an hourly payroll object, I'm going to put in here a commission payroll object. First name is still fine. Social security number is just fine. But I only have, now it's going to be, what is it? Sales. So sales. I can probably put the whole word employee in there now. It'll look better. Employee sales. And this will be get sales. And this will be employee commission rate. And it'll be get C rate. No, where's the get rate? Something tells me that's wrong, but let's see. No, it must be okay. Yep. And then we've got our earnings again. Turn that over. And that's going to be fine. I don't have to change that. Okay. So I've got to do my earnings now. Oh, one thing I didn't tell you. I'm sorry. Look on the screen, please. It would still work the way it is, but I'm trying to teach you the right way to do it, not just a way of doing it. Please go back to your hourly one. And where you've got your earnings, type in this line of code, at override. We are letting the system know right there was something already called earnings, but we're overriding it. Does that make sense to you? All right. And we want to come back to commission, and we want to do another at override here because what are we going to do right here? Whoops. Cancel. Try that again. At override. Oh, that's interesting. If I hit add override like that, it immediately brings that up. So I'm going to do that later. So I'm going to say here public double earnings. And this is a real simple one. Why? Because all I have to return is get sales. So it's what they sold times their rate. Now I should be able to come in here and do my at override. That should work okay. Okay. Does that make sense to you, though, what's going on in here? So, I mean, we're clipping along here. It may or may not seem like it. Maybe it seems like, no, this is taking a hell of a long time. Not really, though. All right. This one's even shorter than the last one. And the next one is about the same size as the last one we did. Then we have to do it. The hardest part, believe it or not, probably is the driver. Start thinking about all the possible permutations. Okay? A totally, let's just look at one. Let's look at an hourly employee, okay? So you got an hourly employee. What about a no-ARG hourly employee? We got to do that one. A full ARG hourly employee. We got to do that one. We've got to check our employee out of range for hours worked. We got to check our employee out of range for hourly rate. Then we have to do the regular ones. So we've got to check the social security number, the first name, the last name. That's already 7 objects we have to make just to make sure those work. Plus, guess what we didn't do yet? Overtime. That's 8. So that's already 8 objects. We're not going to create that many, but just so you understand what I'm saying, that's 8. To test everything in here, you might very well have to write 50 or 60 objects to do that, even though there's just 4 classes because of all the combinations, permutations, etc. All right. All right. I'm going to do another file save all. Been a while. So I'm going to right mouse click on here, do a new Java class. And the next one we're going to do is going to be salaried. All right. So we're going to call this salaried, S-A-L-A-R-I-E-D. You've already seen this before, so it's not a surprise to say that it extends employee and that it implements iEmployee. Again, nothing new there. You also know that we are now getting that same error that you've seen before. And remember, under the commission, that error is now gone. Again, we're going to get warnings because the Java doesn't like it's remember, I told you this before. The optimization and the compiler is going to say, hey, you didn't have to do it like this. I'm trying to write this straightforward. If we use the stuff that's in the optimized compiler, we might be able to knock our code down from 60 lines to 55. I'm more concerned with understandability. It will run a little bit slower because we haven't done all the optimizations, but I'm going to be able to understand it. I will probably, not now, but I would sprinkle in some comments because if I'm the person who's going to be maintaining it, I want to remember what I did and why I did it. All right. Okay. So this one is nice because it only has one field. So here, this will be our salaried class variable, just one, private, double, weekly, salary. That's it. Then we can go right into our constructors. So our noarg constructor, public, salaried, super, I actually wrote duper. You believe that? Super, and then this dot weekly salary equals def salary. Okay, that's the first one already done. And our full arg constructor, again, will be public salaried, string for the first name, string for the last name, string for the social security number, double for the weekly salary. Probably could have fit all that on one line. Maybe I should. I don't know. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. Super, which is, again, going to handle. Notice the Intellisense is kicking in now, and it's telling us. It says, hey, you need 3 things in there. And it's even letting us know what they are. So FN, LN, SSN. Whoops, SSN. And then finally, set weekly salary. It's going to be red again. WS, because we have not implemented that one. So let's do that right now. Again, let me hit enter a few times here. Hopefully, I'm going to give you a chance to catch up. Both of you caught up? All right. So I'm going to code generate. No, I've done something wrong. I got just what you did yesterday when we did the generate. Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, I must have hit the wrong button. So getter and setter, the only thing that's there is weekly salary. Boom, we got that. All right, we're going to change this. You've seen this before now. If the weekly salary is greater than or equal to the min salary and the weekly salary is less than or equal to the max salary. All right, so if that's the case, again, I'm going to put this on another line just so you can see it. Question mark, weekly salary, colon, def salary. All right, and I need my paren. Now, I just want you to understand something. Okay, look on the screen, please. See this right here? We're passing this in, correct? Technically, there's another way we could do it where we could call get weekly salary right there. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because what's that going to do? It's going to return that weekly salary in there. All right? But this is the way that, at least as far as I've seen, that it's typically done. All right? So guess what? We only have two things to do. Our toString, and we got to do our earnings. Again, I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to go back to commission that we just had, and I'm going to grab all of that stuff from commission, and I'm going to plop that into here. I'm going to get one error, two errors, but I don't need one of these fields. So I've got my first name, my last name, etc. I want this to say salary. I want this to say get salary. I'm sorry, it's get weekly salary. All right. And that's it for that one. And then finally, I want my public double earnings. This is real nice because guess what? We've already figured it out, and there's nothing special to do other than return get the weekly salary. And we want to put our override in there. So that's that one. So we've got two more things to do. We've got to run or write our piece worker, and then we've got to do our driver. You with me? So let's do the piece worker, then we'll take another break. All right. And I notice I spelled payroll wrong. Oh, I don't want that to say payroll anyway. That's good. So this should say weekly. How about just salaried object? Because that's salary. My hourly says hourly. I'm not even going to put payroll in there. I'm just going to put hourly object. My salaried says salaried object. My commission says commission object. Whoops. See that? You don't have to. You can change it. Put in there whatever you want. This may or may not. It's up to you. This may be one of the projects. Are you listening? This may be one of the projects that you actually want to put in your portfolio. Now, that said, if you want to do that, I have not read on how to implement GitHub with IntelliJ. There probably is a way, but otherwise you could use the old-fashioned way that we've been doing. You know how we did it last semester for you, not for you, Keegan, but how we did it. And what you'll learn next semester, and Keegan learned this past semester, is you know the other thing you can do is you can push it right to the internet, and you can use Heroku. There's another way of doing it. But you know GitHub Pages because we talked about that. You see what I'm saying? So there's a bunch of ways you could go and push this stuff if you wanted to. All right, so file. I'm going to do another save all. And finally, I'm going to come back. I'm going to close commission, leave salaried open. That's the last one I did. I want to leave employees open in case I need it, but I know I won't. So I'm going to right mouse click on here, do a new Java class, do our last class, which is called Piece Worker. All right. By now, I'm a broken record. So extends, employee, implements, iEmployee. Again, we've got that same error. Notice again that in employee, the error is gone. Now it's saying one related problem. I don't know what these are, but when we run it, if there is an error, we're going to know what it is real fast. All right. So this has got two pieces of information. So I'm going to put in here piece worker, class, variables, and I've got a double, I'm sorry, try it again, private int, and we're going to call it number of pieces. And we're going to have a private double that we're going to call price per piece. You all know this already, or you both know this already. Doesn't matter the order in which you put this stuff, you know, whatever. So we'll get, look, this will sound familiar. No arg. full arg. Doesn't like something here. What doesn't it like? Oh, it's because I didn't put these in. So again, I wrote duper. That's nice, Jeff. First name, last name, string, SSN, int, number of pieces, double, price per piece. Okay. Super. First name, last name, social security number, set number of pieces for set that to number of pieces, set price per piece to price per piece. I'll give you a second to catch up if you need to do that. And I'm going to do my getters and setters. All right. So literally, we're down to here. Right there, we got to do that. Then this, which is, again, I'm going to copy some stuff. So it's not going to be hard. And then we'll take a break. And then we'll look at the, try to make some sense out of writing a driver for this. Okay. So I'm going to come in here. I'm, again, going to do my code, generate, getter and setter. I want them both. There's that, and that fixed that. So I'm down to here now. Have you both caught up? Okay. Again, I'm going to, I can put, you see in here, I'm putting in some validation, right? It's not a hell of a lot, but it's better than no validation. How's that? All right, if it's greater than or equal to the min number of pieces, and if it's greater than, less than or equal to the maximum number of pieces. I'll tell you what, too, I'm going to bring this down over another line so hopefully you can read it better. All right, if that's the case, so question mark, then I want to take it, number of pieces, colon, the default number of pieces. Okay, and I'm going to copy this, change that here. This will become price per piece, there, and there, and there, and there, and there. Okay, I don't think I made any mistakes. I'm going to take a quick look. No, piece, price per piece, price per piece, price per piece, looks good. So I've got to rewrite the toString, and I've got to rewrite, again, the earnings. And earnings is real easy because what is earnings? Number of pieces times price per piece. All right. So again, as I've done before, I'm going to jump back over to, I'll jump over to my salaried. I'm going to grab the toString. Just going to grab the whole method, every bit of it. And I'm going to go over to piece workers and paste that in. It's going to give me this error here. You already knew I was going to get that error anyway. So number pieces, and that's get number of pieces. And I'm going to copy that line. And I'll say price piece get price per piece. All right. And then finally, I'm going to have my public double earnings which is just going to be return get number of pieces times get price per piece. So when you look at this, we had 10 things in here that were about 6 lines. Let's say 8 lines each. That's 80 lines of code for those 10, close to 100 lines. We probably have done 400 or 500 lines of code. All right. I'm not being anal here. We could line all this stuff up, etc. I don't really care. I'm more concerned with when we start to print this out, are we going to get the right information? That's what I'm concerned with. All right. It is 2 o'clock. Let's take a break. We'll come back at 10 after 2. Okay.